You're listening to the Life in General podcast with Tom and Jay. An hour of informative commentary on today's headlines, current events, and what's going on around the world and around the corner. And now, here are your hosts, Tom and Jay Darden.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Life in General podcast here with Tom and Jay, coming at you live with another very special episode where episode 69, you know what that means. Nice. We're going to start this episode off the way we do every time and ask the man of the hour how he 69. Is before we introduce our special and returning guest. So, hey Dad, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing wonderful down here. Yep. Fantastic. Episode 69. That's so exciting. So exciting. No changes down here. We're just motoring along. So life's good.
Awesome. Who do we have at the bottom of our screen there?
This would be Rodney Kirkham, game store hobby master, card player extraordinaire.
There we go.
Say, hey, Rodney.
What's happening, Rob?
He's coming to you live from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah, there we go. Just a hop, skip, and a jump away from myself, a little bit further away for Pops up there. So,
how you doing, Rod? You good? Okay.
I was going to say, there's not much sound coming out unless Dad, you can hear.
I can't hear him.
Alrighty. Yep, still no sound.
I still can't hear you. Oops. Is that wire unplugged?
Yeah. Whoopsie.
He keeps picking it up till he finds the end of it, and then it's like, wait a minute, this belongs somewhere.
Yep. Very much all good there. Nope.
I can see your lips moving. I know it's, can you hear me? It's like, nope.
The best thing is we go through and it's like he's just punking us the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait.
Right.
No, he didn't hit
there we go.
There you go.
I can hear you now.
Okay. I don't know why it cut out. My bad.
No worries.
Well, it's all good.
Yay for technology.
Yeah. So how are y'all? I'm doing good.
Awesome. Doing better than I deserve. Got some interesting things coming up in the next several months, but we'll see what's happening. Got to overcome, adapt, and as Dad loves to say, I Ching, whatever the hell that means.
Overcome, I Ching, adapt, overcome. Yeah.
Comment down below if you know what I Ching means, and if you do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Because
I have to say this one thing. Well, two things. 40 days till the election. Okay, so vote them out, fire them all, tell them to get out. And New Orleans is the new murder capital of the United States of America. Isn't that exciting?
So
what's a really neat city. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the way you presented that information makes it does actually sound like you think that's exciting, and it's like people are dying.
It is exciting. Yeah,
it's like, hold up. I don't know if we need to present that information in such a way that makes it seem like we're happy about
or
it.
Or the fact that it was like connected somehow.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. If you don't vote these people out, maybe your city will be next for becoming the murder capital of the United States.
New Orleans has started recruiting civilians to help them with law enforcement. And man, I think that's great. I think it's great. Because like we were talking a few minutes ago, man, you pull up to the corner and ask them, what are you doing out here on the corner at 3:00 in the morning? Get off the corner, man. You have no business being out after 12 o'clock. But yeah.
Says the man who used to work nights at a strip club, I believe. So do you think they would take you out on your way to work or when you left work?
That's incorrect information. The strip club, I went in at 11 in the morning and worked till 7 in the evening. But you're talking about the after hours club called the Underground that opened at 9 and was open till 6 in the morning.
There we go.
So it was daylight when I came out. It's almost like Dracula when you open the door in the morning. The sun was it's like because you've been inside since 8 or 9 o'clock the night before. So yeah, that was an all nighter thing there. So
Silliness.
hopefully, yeah.
So are they allowing civilians to do that because they can't hire, like there's nobody wanting to join the police force?
Correct.
Or is it their hopes that by empowering the civilians, it will cut down on crime?
Both. They're leaving the police force. They can't hire them. And if you hire them, you got to train them, and that takes months. And then they're hoping that it'll cut down on crime. I would like to see more store owners doing their own security and stuff. A guy came into a store the other day. I want to say it was like in Austin, Texas, or Dallas, and he had a shotgun down by his side, and he walked in to hold the place up. And he walked up to the guy, started talking to him, and the guy's got his hand on his pistol, and he didn't know that he was going to encounter someone that was ready. And so he said, "I'm not from around here. I'm from Chicago." And the guy said, "Well, you ain't in Chicago anymore, buddy. So you better just keep walking." So the guy turned around and walked off and left with his shotgun that he had down by his side when he came in. And they arrested him a few minutes later. But yeah, I'd like to see a little more of that. But anyway.
Well, that's very fair.
So the exciting part is you just came back from what kind of convention was it?
It was called
Louisville,
Alliance
Kentucky?
it was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And it was Alliance
cool.
Open House. It was by one of our distributors. They like all the publishers that publish different games, they have what's called an open house. So they invite all the people that create the games to come, and then all the vendors, us, go there, and that we get to see all the games coming out, play some of the games that they already have, etc., and see what's coming out like towards the end of the year and beginning of next year, that kind of stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. Do you care to share anything that's coming out that might be tantalizing to the young people?
Oh yeah, like I played so many games. Like it's a whole weekend. Like I got there on Thursday night, and then Friday, like you have these they're called focus groups. So the different ones like Wizards of the Coast, Steamforge Games, some of those companies, they come and you actually demo their games, but then they show all these slideshows of like this game's coming out and we're doing expansions for this game, etc. And they give you free demos. And so you do that, and then each night for like 4 hours, like 8 to midnight, you do a demo where they have this big hall, and it's free alcohol, and you go around to table, and they just sit, and it's like, okay, do you guys want to sit there and play this game? And then they just teach you how to play the game. And then they have what's called exhibit hall, where you can meet some of them and you get order forms, but then they're like, well, here's some of our free games, and I got a big old goodie bag full of like free games and dice, etc. One of the biggest games that I'm excited for, and Jay, I know you play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if you've ever played like any skirmish games, but Dungeons and Dragons is coming out with a skirmish game called Onslaught in January. It basically uses WizKids minis, and it's
Nice.
it uses 5e rules. It uses some of the rules from 4e, like Bloodied, but it's mostly 5e rules, and it's just a skirmish game where you play through minis across the board. You have two factions that fight against each other, and you also fight against the monsters in a dungeon.
Nice.
And there's different scenarios for that. So that's the biggest excitement that I saw there. But all kinds of really cool board games. So for me, like I like playing board games, but it's hard to have have people that play board games, so I stick to mostly playing like Dungeons and Dragons because I actually have a bunch of friends that play Dungeons and Dragons and like playing card games like Flesh and Blood. But there was a lot of board games that I was like, okay, if I had friends that wanted to play, I would play this.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that you run into. I'm not sure if I'm almost assured that you have played Gloomhaven, right? Like that is the definition of what folks, at least around my circles, call a crunchy game, because it is just so freaking tedious to play through that game. Have people who have ADHD, like clinically diagnosed, keep up with each other and say, okay, there are 4 people. And we normally actually have one person who's kind of game mastering. So either we have a 5th who's actually involved in doing all the monster stuff and setting everything up and all that. And to have 4 people come together, explain what they are going to do. Then if that part is successful, and then you have to go through, oh, well, did a monster go first? Did someone do something that actually changes literally the rest of the turn? And it makes it nigh impossible to not only complete the game in a time frame that would seem that is not close to eternity, but also make it fun, because it is just ridiculously taxing on everything. So most of us just kind of are very lackadaisical about it and just kind of say, all right, screw it. Like, we're going to just mess around. I mean, I'm the little bard person in that game, so I just get to function and not have to do anything because my stuff's happening all the time every turn anyways. And so I'm like, I'm good. Y'all good? Okay, cool. Anybody need some healing? Okay, perfect. All right, if you don't, cool. I'm going to sit over and play my little dude. All right, leave me alone. So it's quite hilarious, but...
Well, you brought up Gloomhaven. They are coming out with Frosthaven
right
towards the end of next year.
Yeah, my buddy has it
they discussed
pre-ordered.
that. They didn't show anything about it, but they brought it up.
I got you.
But it was like so many cool games, like that games that I saw that I'd be like, that's kind of cool, but I just never played. Again, having people that play it, but also having time to do it with busy schedules, etc.
Yeah.
Like I played God Tier. That's by Steamforge Games, and God Tier is a lot of fun. It has some really cool minis.
Sure.
Again, got to have people to play it. BattleTech, I played it for the first time. It is a lot of fun. When you see somebody playing BattleTech, you're like, that seems really complicated. But once you play it, it's really not.
You know, speaking of BattleTech, it's actually kind of interesting you mentioned that too, because my uncle, not Dad's brother, but my mom's brother, actually called me literally yesterday asking about miniatures, because I have a 3D printer, and we started to print our minis for D&D, which has been super fun, and it's a little bit of a tedious process, and if it doesn't work, it's kind of like really disheartening. But when it comes out well, man, those look good. And like my buddy paints some of them and stuff, and it looks fantastic. But he was talking about BattleTech because he just bought a 3D printer, but he bought a filament one. I have a resin one where, you dump the goo in the vat and it comes up. He has one where, it spews it out and then it sets and you're good to go. But his initial print like screwed up on him. And so he's like, well, if I just pay you money, will you print minis out for me? And I'm thinking to myself, it's finally happening. It's becoming profitable. You know what I mean? And so he sent me like several of the STL files or CBT files and just was like, hey, go ahead and see if, do a couple of test prints and we'll see if the quality's good. I mean, it's a 4K, so like it works pretty well. But like when it actually comes out and everything's supported and it all happens, and that pretty good detail, like for just making a vat of like pudding into an actual little fig, it's pretty cool. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So
my friend has a 3D printer and he's given me some, like, sometimes there are ones that fail because he knows I use it for scatter terrain.
Oh yeah,
but then
that's
some
cool.
He's just like, here, or like if he has a really cool one, he's like, are you interested in this? And I'll go, how much? And he's like, $5, and I'll be like, okay, I'll buy that.
For sure. Well, and that's the thing too, right? Like mini, like the vat of it's about this size. If you all can kind of see that, like like a big tumbler. That's about how much resin you get. It's like a liter or something like that. And you can print a crap load, especially if you hollow them out, the minis out, right? You can print a lot. And I mean, $5 a pop. Well, if you can print 25 to 30 minis, that's paying for itself, right? Like over time. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I literally do it because my, friends all play D&D with us. There's 6 of us who play it every single Friday. And I'm like, okay, we got either new characters or we have bosses or enemies and, stuff like that we can do. I haven't done too many like little items and stuff yet, like, little place things, but they don't watch the show, so I'm gonna spoil it a little bit. I'm very excited to print off. I'm not sure if you've ever played the Curse of Strahd campaign for 5e,
Yes.
but they're gonna go fight Baba La Saga in a few weeks, and
So you're gonna make the house?
Can't wait to make the house, man. Like it'd be so cool, and then they'll be freaking out because hopefully they make it to where the feet aren't attached first, so I can put the house down. Then I can say, boop. All right, now you go, zoop, and then there's 2 big chicken feet under the house, and it starts going crazy.
That's pretty sweet.
I can't wait. Like they're gonna lose their minds. So it'll be pretty fun. But
my friend keeps trying to tell me I should get a 3D printer, but I love painting, and with all my other hobbies, I'm like,
Sure.
And I don't really have room to try to set one up. So I'm like, and plus, working at the shop, I get a great discount on like WizKids minis, GW minis, and stuff like that. So like I'm looking at it over there. I've got like 2 totes full of miniatures that are still in the package that I've not even broke out yet.
Nice.
Plus my painting table inside has like a big tote next to it. So like I've started on TikTok, on my TikTok lives, I started painting on
that's cool.
there.
Yeah.
Just to do it. And I have people come in, chat with me while I'm painting and stuff like that. So I've started doing that. So I'm like, and then like I said, my buddy Tim will give me minis all the time, and
that's
just
cool.
Like, here, you can just have this, whatever.
How much would you charge
like,
to paint a mini? Like a decent paint job, you know what I mean?
I get asked that question all the time, and
you can answer it all the time. Perfect, great. Just kidding.
I've not charged anybody yet. I've actually had some that I've just painted and I've just given away.
I got you.
Because I enjoy painting, and obviously I have so many behind me that I'm like, I would rather just paint it and give it away to somebody. Like it didn't happen to me, but I seen it happen to my buddy where he painted for somebody one time, and it was just some simple wolves. He just painted up these wolves. It's like a simple gray wash. Now, Tim, better painter than I am by 1,000 degrees, painted these wolves, really good job, and charged the guy, I don't know, it wasn't a whole lot, maybe like $5-10 for like 3 wolves.
Yeah.
Great paint job. And then the guy was like, well, I thought it would be a different shade of gray, and I wanted the eyes to be blue, not green. Just started nitpicking it. And Tim looked at him and was like, dude, you paid me $10 for these.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting like a
redo and all that stuff.
Just go away. And then he was like, well, now I've got some goblins. Can you paint those up? And he was like, no.
Oh, well,
no, I can't.
Well, yeah, of course. If you bite the proverbial hand that feeds you, I mean, come on, man. Like,
so, and I always tell people, I can't say my paint jobs are the best. Like I like them and they're good for playing D&D.
Sure.
But I'm also hypercritical, so I look at them sometime and I'm like, oh, I missed a little spot there. Or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm also the type where I'm like, I don't want to take money for them, and then when I give them to somebody, then there's something like, oh well, like what that guy was like, oh, I paid you $5 and you missed this spot right here, or. Like, I don't do fine detail either. Like, I've got a buddy, he'll paint the fingernails and buttons.
Holy
He'll
crap.
do all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
And, like, if it's a blue shirt, I don't care if it's got buttons on it or not. That's blue. Like, that's what it is.
No, yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to go that much detail.
No, that's very fair.
So to answer your question, I don't care to paint minis. Now, if it was like, hey, I've got 50 minis for you to paint, we would definitely have to... but
for sure. That's awesome.
If it was just like if you were talking about like the hut, Baba Yaga's hut, it'd be like, okay, we could just do that. That wouldn't be a thing. Something like that where it'd just be like the one thing.
I got you. Yeah, I got to I gotta look because honestly, the monsters I don't really mind as much. It's really the characters that I print out that I want my players to really have awesome little people. Like I printed out one that was fantastic. It's actually. Have you played League of Legends? I'm sure you have, right?
No, I haven't.
So, do you know who Wukong is? Like the Monkey King?
No.
So, just picture.
Sounds like a girl I used to date.
Well, yeah.
I just thought I'd say something. So.
Perfect.
Just where he just tunes us out, start watching TV over there.
I was gonna say, you knew how this is gonna go, so buckle the fuck up, asshole. No, I'm just kidding.
I am. I'm good.
No,
I'm
so
good.
he prints this off, and it's amazing, and he hand painted it and stuff. But I printed out. I've have two colors: ivory, which is kind of like almost a pinkish white color, and then a dark gray. And this one was ivory, and it's oh my goodness, it's fantastic. But of course, you print them. Like I'll go to Hero Forge or something like that, make the person or have somebody pay the $8, give me the file, and then we can print it. You can have it forever. Like if it fucks up or you want to repaint it or have it again or something like that. So it's just I don't know. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I want to be able to just have the characters be the stars of the show there. So kind of neat.
Do you find that the guys that are girls that you talk to that are programmers or designers, are they pretty eccentric, or are they out there with their ideas and stuff, or are they just pretty down to earth people? At when you go to these, when you talk to people that develop these programs and games,
we were both
stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if he was talking to you or not.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you. So most of them, and it's kind of hard to believe. Like some of these guys are these are guys that actually create these games. Some of these are president of these big name companies. So to give you an example, one guy, he's charge of a company called Calliope Games. They make a lot of small little. I've got some I'm over here looking at right there. Small little box games you can play 3 to 16 player type games. And he actually was telling the story of when the open house was coming up. Prior to that, he decided that he was going to meet some friends out in Colorado. And so he went there, rented a couple motorcycles, and took some motorcycles on a trip driving from Colorado to Fort Wayne. And so they stopped and took pictures. They had pictures of the motorcycles. And then he was talking about how when he was driving, he got something in the eye. So he had to pull over. And so they were like, oh, that's going to mess up your trip. You won't be able to take out the pictures, whatever. He was like, no, I'm just going to get this thing out of my eye and I'm going to keep driving. So you could tell he was a big motorcycle guy. And so he went on this whole thing. So it was really relatable, especially someone like me used to ride. And so he's just telling this whole trip. And then he goes, but the long story short, I was supposed to have extra time to get here and do my presentation, but I didn't. So now I'm just going to go by the seat of my pants.
There you go.
So he's like, I'm just going to show you the slides for my trip instead. And so he did all that. And he was like, and now just if you guys have any questions, because they only have 20 minutes for the focus groups.
Nice.
So and all of us are sitting there wondering, why is he showing us the trip from his ride? What's that have to do with the games he has coming out? And he was like, so all that to tell you is I did not have time to prepare.
There you go.
Some of the people that I talk to around the world, these guys are designers, or they're programmers, or they create things and they've got ideas and stuff. And some of them are pretty sharp. I mean, and they, I'm sure that they're out there thinking about stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I just wondered if they were regular people or if they were eccentric, or did you find them to be different if they were a game designer or a game master or something like that? I don't know what you call all that stuff, man.
Oh, yeah. And keep in mind, most of these people were board game people, but they were all it was pretty cool to meet presidents of board game companies and to be able to talk to them. And they're the ones that are actually here, this is what we have coming. And we're taking suggestions, because that was part of it too, was what works for your company? What do you want to see? Some of them, like one guy, he showed us a box for a game he had coming out that did not even have the name of the game on the box. You couldn't even really tell anything about the game. And he was like, what is your impression of this game? And we told him like, blah, blah, blah. He goes, thank you. That was kind of my thoughts too. But the other part, like the company that he was partnered with, they printed it and ran it before they even showed him and made like 10,000 copies of this game. He goes, and then they were like, well, here's a new game. And he was like, I don't even know what that game is.
Oh, nice.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
by the time they printed it, his logo was like a small corner on the back. You basically had to look at the back to try to figure out what the game was. And he was like, okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one that was crazy about this. So,
That's good,
but they
That's good.
took our input in to be like, what's a good way to sell our product? What works for you in your stores? How can we help you? Like, if it's a display issue, what can we help in making displays to send to your store? Stuff like that.
That's pretty sweet.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the marketing end of it, marketing aspect of stuff like that. Wow. Okay,
Another thing that was interesting was meeting other store vendors. See, Hobbytown is like a little bit different from most game stores because we also sell RCs.
Oh, right.
And so it's not, most of those people were just game stores. Like that's all, game stores, card stores. That was all they did. They didn't have no RCs, they didn't have stuff like that. So it was interesting just meeting other people from all over. I mean, there are people there from Arizona. There are people there from Texas. There's people there from out west, all over the place. And I met these guys that were from Grand Rapids that they started out owning a bar. This was like right before the pandemic hit. Well, during the pandemic, they had to close down. Well, while they had the bar open, they had a group of Magic players that would come in like every Wednesday night, order drinks, and just play Magic while they're sitting there drinking. So, and these guys like to play games. So they kind of got the idea of opening a bar and a board game shop where you could come in, play games, and just drink all night long. So they got a library of like used games, set up a shelf, and then they got in where they could sell games, and you can go in, play games, buy drinks, and just sit there and play. You can go play Risk, you can play whatever you want, play games all night. Now, at first, they did not set a limit. They didn't set a cover charge. They learned their lesson why that wouldn't work for them.
Yeah.
So now they charge, I think they said it was like $5 and it's like a 3-hour limit, but you can go in there because I think they say there was like one wedding party that came in one night. They were there like 8 hours. They bought like one Diet Coke that they all shared.
Yeah.
And they were there all night and that was all they did. And so they were like, oh, come on, and so they were like, okay, we've got to change that up. They did that, and you could go there. It's like called House Rules in Grand Rapids, and you just go there, and they have games you can play there. You can bring your own game in. You can buy games while you're there. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And they weren't the only one that had that same kind of concept where it's a bar/game store.
Yeah, so I used to actually work at a different game store that was in Gallatin, and we would have this mom, and she would bring in her 2 kids, and she would come in, and in the summertime, she didn't want to pay for daycare, and she didn't want the kids on the streets, right? So she would come in, give them like $10, and then say, "Cool, buy a pack of cards and then a drink, and then cool, you're buying stuff." So they're not going to kick you out. And we'd be like, 5 hours later, their mom comes and gets them. And it's like, we're a daycare now. Perfect. So, yeah, that was super fun. But,
it sounds like it.
Well, it's just, I mean, man, people will take advantage of that shit in a heartbeat, dude. Like, so much. But
I heard there was one store where there was there's a Mexican restaurant like right across the street from their store.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is they have the menus for the Mexican restaurant in their store, and almost like a Uber Eats or something like that. Like they can place the order within the game store. They'll call it over there, take the money, go over, get it, and them in the Mexican restaurant kind of have, I don't know, they had some kind of agreement on the store gets some of the money and the restaurant gets the rest of it. And so all the gamers, when they're sitting there eating, and they're like, okay, let's order a bunch of tacos, burritos, whatever.
Yeah.
And then an employee runs over, gets the order, brings it back when it's ready, and just like, okay, here's your 5 tacos, 6 burritos, whatever it is.
So
and it works out for them.
It would be amazing if there was a place, a block or two away or whatever that's like, or even next door, say, hey, cool, let's order some pizzas or tacos or brews or whatever. That'd be fantastic. Let me pick your brain a little bit here. If you were like, let's say you didn't have a game store to go to, right? So no game store, and the place that you play D&D was about to stop being that place that you were going to play. Where would you go? And you couldn't go to somebody's house, no room. Where would you go to play Dungeons and Dragons on Fridays for like 3 to 4 hours at a time?
Well, that's a tough question.
That right? Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So, because I'll give you some background. So, I obviously play at the shop. I played here at my house for a while, but now I have too much stuff in the garage. So, and a lot of it is D&D stuff, but it's still too crowded in here. So, I play at the shop. But when the pandemic hit and there was this thing like nobody, like especially in the beginning when it seemed like that would probably be like Stephen King's Plague, where it would be the end of everybody since they were basically shutting down the world. I did try Discord and running games online. And not all groups run as great as like y'all's podcast here. Not everybody has really great internet connections.
Yeah.
And not everybody pays attention. Like, even if you're like, hey, we're going to play D&D, and it's the same as I had 2 groups that were already committed to playing, that we'd already been playing, say 6 months before that happened.
Right.
So they already knew, and then all we did was switch to online, and instantly it was distraction, stuff like that. So that didn't work.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like if I couldn't play at the shop and I couldn't play at my house, I don't know what would be around for me to go play at, because that's what I'm just used to. I would probably try to see what would be available, but I don't know, because there's not like any places, especially for Dungeons and Dragons. Now I know people that go to various places and play Magic. Like there were people that went to Steak and Shake for the longest time and would buy food and play Magic the Gathering at Steak and Shake.
Yeah, but
that's a little bit easier to do.
Sure.
Than playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just wanted to pick your brain. So
my suggestion was go to a climate control mini storage. Remember the mini storage A+ in Gallatin had climate control that had electricity, and they have big corner units, and you could put chairs. I mean, it's big enough to set up in there and set your fridge up in there for your drinks and stuff. And then every Friday night, everybody gets the code to the gate. And I mean, how many times did we go in and out of the the whatever you call it, the storage unit, man? Bunches of people coming and going. And every Friday night, they punch in the code, they drive in there, they play. I mean, you're not hurting anybody and you're not doing anything, and you pay for the space. And everybody kicks in, $5 or $6 for the monthly rental. And you're off the streets, and it's climate controlled, and you can play as long as you want to. That was my thought. Since there's not another place, unless you're going to rent a building, I mean, you could look for a commercial building and rent the building, but then you've got electricity and you've got to pay for water, but then you have a bathroom there in the commercial building also. So
right,
yeah. So you have to take all that into consideration. Like the clubhouse we had, we paid $750 a month for that, but you wouldn't need the whole clubhouse because it was 3,300 square feet. So you might find a building somewhere. A building might be an option to rent. So that has a bathroom, since you play with both genders.
Right.
Yeah. And
did I say that right?
So like your idea with the storage would be great. The only drawbacks I would see is, number one, the bathroom. But like my groups that play, it depends on how long you play. Like I only play like 3 hours, so something like that, you could do it for 3 hours, hold it, whatever, most likely. So, but the bathroom would be a thing, especially if you play games longer than 3 hours at a time.
Because these people drink.
So
well, that's what I'm saying. And so that would probably be an issue. Also, the issue that I know from experience is you would have to make sure that you have agreements set up with your players and your players are totally committed, because a lot of times with D&D groups, people just flake out all the time. And the last thing you want to be is like, let's say it's Jay. Jay's the one that goes and signs the lease. He has everything ready for the thing, and you're in it forever. How long do you have to be committed to renting that thing? And next thing you know, all your group falls apart. And now you've got a storage thing that you have to deal with. Because everybody was like, oh, I'm moving, so I can't keep playing. Oh, my job changed my schedule, so now I'm busy on Friday nights. Oh, I'm started dating this guy or this girl, so now I'm not free anymore. So
luckily,
trust me, I've seen it all.
No, I understand, and I mean, I've been playing D&D for 20 years. I get it. We've actually been doing this for 30 weeks. We've missed, I think, 2 just because we have a rule: if more than one person can't show up, we don't do it, because I don't want to have to do multiple player characters as NPCs. But no, everyone, like, we may have had one person out every 4 weeks, like, and it's always planned. Like, no one's dropping out at the last second. And we've been going for like 30 weeks strong, like since March or a little bit earlier than that. So every Friday, every week, people look forward to it. It's really it's fun. A lot of these people I've been friends with for a very long time. So if they flake out and they fuck up, it's like, hey, homeboy or homegirl, like, I'm going to see you tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So,
bonsai, Daniel-san.
Well, yeah, and I work with a lot of them too. So it makes it pretty convenient, because a lot of us have the same schedule, and hell, even a lot of us are coming from the same spot. And honestly, the one thing that keeps us from playing just at work, since 3/4 of us could just go from one room to the office when no one else is there, because half of us are managers anyway, so they don't care what we do. The problem with that is that you can't drink. And not that we have to have it. I mean, actually, half of us never do at all. But the other half are very much like, we got a guy who smokes. He doesn't smoke while we play, but, he takes smoke breaks. And then we got at least half of us are drinking, a beer or something like that, or some wine or a cider or something. And that's the big thing is, for one, you want to escape the place that you just stopped working in for 8 hours. You want to try to run away from that as far as possible. But they have meeting rooms, they have Wi-Fi. They'd leave us alone, because no one's there after 5 on a Friday anyways. But the storage unit ain't too bad. But the big thing is, a bathroom. And also, too, girls aren't going to want to go to a fucking storage unit and then be like, what did you guys doing in there? It's like, we're playing some Dungeons and Dragons. You ready to get down and get your role play on?
Yeah, well, you could have a porta potty put outside. You know what I'm saying?
Thought about it.
It's real cold in Tennessee on the ass when you
understand this too. Like, you ain't hurting my feelings, because I'll go piss outside. That's not like, you're not hurting my feelings at all. But looking
at this point.
Yeah, well, it's like looking at literally just the logistics of, like, hey, we have people who I definitely know don't want to do that or can't, right? So it's like,
okay,
we gotta have that thought through. So then when the transition occurs, it's just very seamless. It's just cool. But no, we're doing this now. So because we plan on doing this for the foreseeable future. We just got to find presumably a new location, should things not work out in my favor. So,
how many people is in your group, just out of curiosity?
There are 7 players and 1 DM.
Okay.
So
yeah,
hold up. Wait,
wait.
6 players and 1 DM. Apologies. So yes, 6 and 1, and I'm the DM right now. And then I don't know, in like 6 months or so, it'll be a new guy, and we'll do another campaign. So
The groups I have been pretty static. Like I've had a couple people change just a little bit, but but again, we only play like 3 hours, and I set that limit myself only because kind of like what you say. Since I play at work, usually it's like on Mondays I get off at 6, and then we play like 6 to 9,
Right.
and I've been there since that morning.
Sure.
And then Thursdays is kind of the same thing. I play 6 to 9, and I've been there since that morning. So
Oh, yeah.
by the time 9 o'clock rolls, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
No,
I'm done looking
right,
at
yeah.
these same walls, everything, where if we played here, I might run a little bit longer, or if we played in a different location, because I'm like, not at work anymore.
Yeah.
But then I actually run a group on Discord like every other Sunday, because I have a friend in Indiana that was like, I kind of got tricked into it a little bit, but he was like, hey, do you want to play D&D in another group with some friends of mine from online? And I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, I don't usually get to play, so I'll do that. So then when he was talking to me, then he was like, by the way, none of us has DM'd. Have you ever DM'd before? And I was like, let's see what this is going.
That's they got you in that trap pretty fast.
Yeah. So I was like, So,
Fair.
but that one is only like every other Sunday. So
I got you. Are you all running an actual preset, or are you just making stuff up as you go?
no, Monday and Sunday is just homebrew stuff. But
awesome.
then the Thursday, I'm actually running the Mad Mages Dungeon.
Oh, cool. Okay, sweet.
We've been running that one for almost 2 years now. So,
jeez,
I started with
wow.
I started with the Waterdeep Dragon Heist,
Right,
and then just rode right into
because by design you can go 1 to 20 like that. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty neat, but yeah.
Something that I didn't understand was, and I know you didn't have control over this, but when the pandemic was going on, I would think your business would be booming. And when they told me the hobby shops closed down during the pandemic, I'm like, what the hell, man? That's got all the board games in it and the card games. That's the shit. That's the store that you want to be open to go get the stuff, because you got to stay at home. It's like, I was like,
and I didn't realize that there were, of course, I get all states are different. I understand that totally. There were a lot of places that did have to close down, and they didn't have a choice. They didn't like buck the system at all. Aaron closed down like 1 week. And of course, he owns two. He owns the one in Evansville, Indiana, too. He closed down like 1 week, and then he was like, I cannot be closed down, because this is his life. Like, this is all he had. I mean,
Sure.
I'm sure like he could probably sell everything off and be okay for the rest of his life. I mean, the guy is smart business wise, but it's still his life, and it's not what he wants to do. He's the type that, like, he'll probably work up until the day. He'll probably die working. Like, that's just him. But all that aside, we were closed down 1 week, and then he said, well, let's do curbside. So we did curbside for like 2 weeks, and then I swear I lost probably 30 pounds running back and forth, getting everything, because we were so busy. The phone's ringing off the hook. Do you guys got this? Do you guys got that?
Really?
I had people like, can I get some gray paint? And I'm like, we have like literally 50 shades of gray. Like, what kind of gray do you want? It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. Like, everybody that was like, well, I want a miniature. I want like a dragon miniature. There's like 10 dragons in here. Which one do you like? It was like stuff like that all the time. So finally, Aaron would be like, well, just let that person in so they can see what color slash they want or whatever it was. So soon it was like we were letting 1 or 2, 3 people in to see stuff. And it was just like, Aaron, we might as well just open the door and just let it be. Like, we're letting people in. The only thing is I have to go over and unlock the door to let them in and out every time. Like, we're not doing anything at this point. So we put up the plexiglass. We all wore masks. Like, we did all that, but it was just like, come on. And Aaron was like, if they shut us down, we'll worry about that. So, and we sold out of stuff, because even though we were open, our distributors were not. They couldn't get stuff.
Yeah.
They couldn't get stuff. They were short on workers. the supply lines had broken down, that kind of thing. And so there was a time when our shelves were empty, like no RCs. We were running out of parts. Like
Right.
we were placing orders and just not being able to get anything. And there were people that were getting mad. Like, how come you don't have this? How come you don't have that? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because the world's dying of the plague. I don't know what to tell you. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Right.
They would get mad and they would go, well, I'll order it from Amazon. And I'm like, okay, do that. And then they would call back and go, oh, well, Amazon doesn't have any either. Let me show you.
Order some extra ones so I can get from you. Yeah. Order extra from Amazon so I can put some on my shelves, will you? You jackass.
But no, you are correct, because what happened was the government gave everybody money and said, stay home. So everybody's like, I got money and I'm bored. Let's go spend it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, man, that'd be the ultimate business to be in, because that's a stay-at-home business, with the RCs and the models and the card games and the board games and all that stuff, man. All of those hobbies, that's a stay-at-home business right there.
His sales went crazy, and it's still a little high now, but I'm starting to see, and I knew it was happening, like we talked about it. What I'm starting to see now is you can always tell how bad things get, because what we do, we buy Magic cards off of people. Like, it's always a thing where they want to sell off their rares and stuff like that, or we buy Pokemon cards off of people, and then sometimes we buy used RCs off of people, because sometimes people get them and they're like, oh, I changed my mind, whatever. They just need the money. So now what we're starting to see, like during the pandemic, there wasn't a lot of people selling. Now there is a whole lot more people selling. I get calls all the time. Are y'all buying Magic cards? Are you buying Pokemon cards?
Really?
It's there and there. I've got some RCs I want to sell. Blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And so it's like, sometimes we have to say, hey, we've bought too many cards today.
Right.
You're going to have to give us a week or two before we buy any more.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Hell, everybody's starving to death. 40 days till election. Vote their ass out. Everybody's starving to death. Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, the direction.
Oh, yeah.
But you got the turtle over there. Is he up for re-election? Mitch McConnell, is he up for re-election?
Oh, that's how much I pay attention. Like, I don't know who's all on the ballot, so I'm not sure.
He's your senator, man. You got to pay attention. And I'll say that to Jay. I'll say, they should get rid of Marsha Blackburn and Bill Haggerty, and he'll go, who's that? Or I don't know those people, and it's like, those are your senators. Those are the people that are regulating your gas prices and your food prices, things like that. So,
well, and here's the sad part, and I know Jay has touched on this before. The issue is because a lot of people vote down party lines. So if Mitch McConnell is the Republican ticket, the Republicans aren't going to vote the Democrat ticket. Doesn't matter who the Democrat is. Doesn't matter the Democrat's ideals. It doesn't matter anything about the Democrat. The Republicans aren't going to vote for that Democrat regardless. They're just not.
Well,
the only way you'll get rid of Mitch McConnell is if, like Jay said before, is if Mitch McConnell steps down or if he gets a scandal. If he does something, involves himself in a scandal, which basically makes him have to get thrown out, and then they'll get a new, younger Republican in there.
He's been around for like 112 years, man. He's one of those people like Biden and Trump and Pelosi and Schumer. All of them need to go, man. They're just old. They're old.
Well, that's how they stay in there. And again, like, I watch the podcast, so I know. I know.
Yeah, he tells me that every week. He tells me that every week. Well, their job is to stay elected, and I'm like, okay, I get their job, but golly, man,
that's why. Like me and my boss, we talk about it all the time. Term limits would be the best, but it's just never going to happen because the people that has to vote for term limits are the people it affects.
Right. Exactly.
Well, they got term limits because aren't they 6-year terms for senators?
Okay, when we say term limits, we mean hard stop. Like,
I know.
Got to do
once you work like a president, 2 terms, you get out. Can't run again.
Well, but that's the thing. Just like Rod said, like I've talked about before, when would you ever vote for something that would not benefit you? Like,
I'm going. So there's no radio silence.
you know.
Yeah.
So
I don't know where there would be a point that things got so frustrating that you would vote, one way or the other, that things would be just so crazy. But if you got $1 gazillion in the bank, like most of these people do, what difference would it make? If you resigned or you lost the election or you voted for term limits, I mean, they're all multimillionaires. So,
Well, yeah, but that's how they keep that money flow in, is because all the people that keeps paying them all that money require them to be in to do that job, to keep voting the way that they keep voting. And the second that they're not relevant anymore, then they don't keep all those paychecks rolling in.
Well, that makes sense.
oh yeah, and I mean,
I've tried to get Jay to run for office, but he won't do it.
shit, fuck all that. Get out of here. You're crazy.
He said, I'm not that corrupt. He said, I'm kind of corrupt, but not that corrupt.
No.
So when the guy was telling me the other day that someone stole the codes to the Minecraft game and created a new game, how does that happen? How did they get the original format of a game to be able to take it and redesign it and then sell it themselves? How can they get that format?
What do you mean get that format? They just take the code and reskin a couple of things, retool a couple of things, and say, look, it's not Minecraft, it's it's crime mapped, and it's like, oh, okay, and it's almost a perfect fucking replica,
Well, how do they get the codes though? I mean, how can they steal the brainchild of that game? Like Dungeons and Dragons. What if somebody stole the codes to are there codes?
There are no codes. It's all pen and paper. It's all books.
Okay.
And it's a little bit, you can't compare Dungeons and Dragons because Dungeons and Dragons is open source, which basically means they allow you to use their rules for whatever. You could use Dungeons and Dragons rules and make Tom's Verse and make a game, your own game, and use Dungeons and Dragons rules for it and have your own world. So,
okay.
and a lot of people do. That's why like Cobalt Press has its own stuff, and like there's a whole lot of things that just use the 5e rule system.
Okay. I was just curious because he was telling me what a crappy game it was, the imitation Minecraft game that they had designed, how bad it was.
And I don't know too much about Minecraft, but like you can see that happen. There's like a lot of games where they come out with copies of type of games. I mean, it happens on mobile games all the time. They'll come out with one mobile game that everybody likes, and then the next thing you know, there's like 10 clones of that type of game. They reskin it, but it's the same game. This one might have birds in it, and this one actually has cats in it, but it's the same game.
Okay, that makes sense. Not being a gamer, I don't know any of that stuff.
You're more of a gamer than you let on because you play the games all the time.
Yeah, that's right. I'm on YouTube spreading the word about the podcast all over the world.
I'm sure your students or conversationalist folks are very excited that you are pushing your personal podcast on them when you come.
I don't push it. I just ask them how they study their English in between using the tutors. Do they read, or do they listen to music, or do they watch movies, or do they listen to podcasts?
Gotcha. That's cool.
And if they say, I listen to podcasts when I'm traveling back and forth to work or during my downtime, and I said, well, here's one you might want to check out. Pow! And I put ours out there for them.
He doesn't push it. He just wears the shirt, and he's got the banner in the background.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those like, hey, do you have YouTube? Oh, you do? Perfect. Click on this link real fast. Oh, dun, like it starts playing.
Yeah, the Chinese people said, we have WeChat. We don't have YouTube or something. And I was like, okay, well, you don't get to see it. So.
Well, that's why I need to get the thing on what's it called? I need to get it on the Apple Podcast thing, so can get
like when like in the early 2000s when rappers were trying to hand out their mixtape CDs all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you listen to music here? Pop this in your CD player.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. You know, and you can tell me how this works. The attorney general, as stupid as she is in New York, was wanting the television networks to interrupt programs every time Aaron Judd came to bat, who's trying to get his 61st home run for the New York Yankees. Okay, and he will tie or beat Roger Maris's home run record for a season. Well, she was trying to get the people to stop, showing a TV show, and the people said that we play these games on Apple TV. They're free. We can't stop people that pay for cable.
Right.
We don't have the power to stop a cable network or direct TV. But so how does Apple work? You have to have Apple products to play Apple TV, or
no? You can like, as long as you have the Apple streaming service, you can have. It's just a streaming service like Amazon Prime or Netflix or Hulu. So you can. Now there are probably some things that you can get the Apple service free on, but you can like. I'm sure down there where you're at, you can probably get the Apple TV if you want Apple TV. Again, it's just like Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu.
I just wonder because, she's trying to get everybody in the state of New York to stop what they're doing every time this guy comes up to bat. And it's like, wait a minute, man. We've got jobs and we're doing things and stuff, and you're going to stop these TV programs right in the middle just to watch this guy bat. And they intentionally walked him 4 times last night.
Smart.
And the Yankee people were out of their minds because they didn't give him an opportunity to hit a home run.
Right.
They didn't throw a ball anywhere close to the plate when he was up there batting. And I thought, well, that's one way to squelch the record. So,
something that's kind of exciting or that titillates the senses a little bit is, why haven't they put in something in the rules that just says walk, like we are walking this person? Just say, give him a hand signal or give him something that says.
I think they did. Nice. I don't even know if they throw 4 balls anymore. They might just say put him on base.
Like they might have just something.
Yeah,
right.
They've changed baseball so much, man, that it ain't even funny. It's not even fun anymore watching them.
It never was fun to begin with. It's not like it never. They're changing it so much. It's like, give me a break. Come on.
I wish I had a baseball bat around here somewhere.
One of the problems with it now is that it's gone the way of literally everything else, which is trying to squeeze out the maximum potential and efficiency of the thing that like drives it. So it's all about pitchers. That's all it's about. Like, doesn't matter if you have good fielders or good this, good that. If you have a good enough pitcher, everything else is arbitrary, right? So then you have like 6 pitchers, right? And they say, okay, once they get to a certain amount of pitches, and then they say, okay, got to cool him down, like can't have him go anymore because he's useless. And then they go to their next one. So then the batting average of everybody gets lowered. The time of the game, albeit, should be faster, right? Because if you have good pitchers, they're not having people get on base, right? And that makes it boring as fuck. Like, understand this. No. Hold on.
Atlanta had a game the other day, and the pitcher struck out 16 batters.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great.
I was like, that, and they're trying to change the name of the Atlanta Braves
to the Atlanta Pitchers.
No, they're just trying to change it from the Atlanta Braves
to the Atlanta baseball team.
Something else,
bullshit, right? Like the Washington football team, right?
Yeah, next is going to be the New York Yankees have to be the New York Northerners or something.
The New York Spankers or Spankies.
It's so ridiculous.
Didn't they recently change the Cleveland Indians
to the Cleveland Guardians?
Okay, there you go.
I thought I heard.
Now, how ridiculous is that? After 112 years, I don't know if it's 112, but they better not ever change the name of the Braves. That doesn't even make any sense. Well, the indigenous people and the Native Americans, get out of here with that shit, man. You already tried to screw them over by moving the All-Star game, and then the Braves won the World Series. So they brought back all these hundreds of millions of dollars in the World Series games.
That the memorabilia, like all that shit means is that the memorabilia that still says Braves on it goes up by a bajillion percentage points. So it'll all be worth a shitload of money.
You can't buy any down here. You can only buy the
Yankee
only thing
stuff,
you can buy down here is New York. That's all you can buy down here is New York Yankee stuff. Like that's the only city in the world to these people. Yeah. So my friend Bob is from New Jersey and he's a big New York fan. So I bought him a New York. Well, he might watch this between now and Saturday, so I better not. No, I'm just kidding. I bought him a New York baseball hat for his birthday. He'll be 75 on Friday. Yeah. On the 1st of October, he'll be 75. So I'm going to give it to him. Actually, Pat bought one and I bought one. So I'm going to set him down on the table in front of him and say, which one do you want? And he's going to pick one, and I'm going to jerk it out of his hand and stuff it in the bag and say, happy birthday. And then I'm going to take the other one and put it on.
Nice.
Jay can just bleep all this out, though, and then that way, when he gets to this point, if he's watching it, just be like,
no, it's just happening, so be mindful.
There you go. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That is funny.
So,
well,
yeah. It ain't
the only thing you can buy. Now, you can buy knockoff Adidas or knockoff Reebok or seconds on, whatever, Nike down here all day long. But New York's the only one I've ever seen them advertise down here. So the only hat I've ever seen, baseball hat or stocking cap or any kind of baseball design. Now soccer, oh yeah, you can get soccer shirts and shorts and all that kind of stuff all day long. So there you go.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, that's kind of wild. We've hit our hour and change mark there. You all got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good as well.
Awesome. Well, it is always an honor and a pleasure to have you on there, Rod. We really appreciate you coming out.
Thank you. I enjoy it.
Yeah, getting everything set up and
what's not to like, right?
Well, I was going to say it's super fun to be able to nerd out for a little while and then just have Dad sitting over there and whatnot.
That's right.
So great stuff and awesome that you got to go on that trip and had a good time and got to learn some things and get exposed to some new ideas and some new games and stuff like that. So that's always exciting. Conventions and stuff that they're coming back. Those sorts of things are happening again, which is great and. Things are getting to be what certain folks would perceive as a little more normal. So awesome stuff there. But yeah, thanks again for coming on. And
I need my Life in General coffee mug when we come back up there. To visit because
Montana uses it like every day.
Nice, yeah.
I told Pat, I said, I hope he ain't drinking coffee out of it every day. And she said he doesn't drink coffee, and I'm like, okay, cool.
There you go.
But Martina does, so she's been using it every day.
Yeah, that's it. Awesome, very good stuff. Man. Awesome, y'all. Well, make sure everyone out there, you like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends in foreign lands, much like Dad does. Tickle the bell, scratch the like, do whatever you got to do.
Subscribe,
subscribe. Like, comment, and survive is my favorite thing there. So thank you very so much for watching the Life in General podcast here with Tom and Jay and our very special guest who is now returned thrice. So longest running returning guest there. So excellent stuff.
Cool.
And yeah, we will catch you all in the next episode.
See you next time.